In this video, we'll cover operations in JavaScript. Okay, we'll cover operations. So we'll cover arithmetical operators, comparison operators, relational operators, assignment operators. Okay, and we also have bitwise operator, logical operators, and finally logical operators. Okay, so in arithmetical operators, for example, let's at the top, let's just define a variable called a, which is, let's give it a value of 5. We'll also define a variable called b with 10 as its value. Okay, now if you don't want to give the value right now, you can just initialize it like this. Okay, and in the later part of the video you can just assign it a value. Okay, but for now let's just keep it simple and assign it like this. And it's not compulsory to have semicolons in JavaScript. All right, some people might just skip it entirely. Okay, now in arithmetical operation we can just write like console.log. We want to print maybe the sum of a and b, right? So I'll just write a and b, and then again maybe we want to multiply these two numbers, so we'll have multiplication operator, then we'll have the subtraction operator as well, and we'll have the division as well. So these are mathematical operators, right? When I run this code, you'll see that the sum is being printed like 5 and 10. The sum is 15, then the multiplication is 50, the subtraction is -5, and the division is 0.5. So you see arithmetical, these are arithmetical operators. Now we have comparison operators, right? Like in comparison operator, we have, for example, is a, in comparison operator, we compare two values, right? For example, is a equal to b? Then the answer is probably no, right? We can see that a is 5 and b is 10, so the answer is false. Now let's directly give some values. For example, let's say I have 10 as a string and I have 10 as a number, right? I'm comparing these two. So let's see what the answer will be. And there is also this, I'll give the same thing like this, 10, and I'll give t equal to signs in that, and then I'll give 10. We'll see the output for both of these as well. First, let's just see the output for a equals b, and let's like comment rest of the code. So we'll see that the false is being printed because we know that a is not equal to b, right? Now let's comment this and run the next two lines. So if I run this, so when I run this code now, you'll see that true and false is being printed. See, when a string and a number is being compared, we see that they both have 10 as value. But when we compare them with two operators, it results in it saying true. So what happens here is JavaScript implicitly converts this 10 number into a string. Okay, so that both of them have the same data type, implicitly converts one data type to other and compares them. Now after comparison, we see that yeah, they have the same value, so that's why true is being printed. But if you want to strictly check considering the data type, then we'll use this equality operator with 3 equal to signs. Okay, so that is why in the second time false is being printed, because we know that the first one is a string while the second is a number, right? Now we also have the not equal to sign. So for example, if I write a not equals to b, then this should result in true, right? Because it's not equal to b. That's one thing. And if I write this with a single equal to, see 10, we saw here that these both are equal, right? Because after implicit conversion, they have the same value. So here this not equal to should print false. So as you can see here, it prints false, right? And that's logical because after typecasting, both the values are 10. So now they should be equal, right? But it's saying not equal, so that's why it's printing as false. So this exclamation is used for the not equal operation, right? Then we have the relational operators. Example, console.log, and I'll print out a greater than b. Then similarly, we'll also have a less than b and a greater than equal to b, as well as a less than equal to b. These are all relational operators, right? We'll comment the above code and just see the output here. See, you'll see that we already know that a is 5 and b is 10, so b is greater than a. Okay, so in this case, a greater than b, that is turned out to be false. If a is less than b, then yeah, a is less than b, so true. A is greater than equal to b, then false, and again a is less than b is set to true. So these are relational operators. Now let's move on to assignment operators. Okay, so these are some assignment operators. For example, a equals to 1, and I'll print out console.log a. Okay, again a minus equals to 1, I'll again print out console.log a. A multiply equals to a, and say 2, and I'll again console. After each operation, I'm going to log a. Okay, a divide equals to 2. So I'm running all these operations on a. I'll tell you guys what each of these operations are after we run this once. So see, all of these are printed. So let's try to understand what happened with assignment operator. So what this code can be converted down to, boiled down to, is a is equal to a plus 1. So we are assigning the value of a plus 1 to a again. So for example, if value of a was 5, now the value of a will be 5 plus 1, that is 6. That will be stored in a. So we are changing the value of a by using this assignment operators, right? Similarly, so since the initial value of a was 5, now 5 plus 1 is 6. So the value of a is 6, and that is what is being printed. In the next line, similarly, we have a is equal to a minus 1, right? So now when we try to log it out, since the value of a here was 6, right? Now 6 minus 1 will be 5 again. So now a will be 5 again. Okay. In the next operation, we have a equals to a into 2. So since the a value is 5, now the a value will be 10. Since if we put 5 here, 5 into 2 is 10, and that will be stored in a. So now we have the value of a as 10. Again, in the next operation, similarly for division, we'll have a is equal to a divided by 2. So that will once again create our a, bring our a back to 5. And that is what the outputs here are shown as. So now we'll study logical operators. So we have two logical operators that we'll study, and that is given by double and percent in JavaScript, and we'll have or, the logical or operator, right? So we represent it by double bars in JavaScript. Okay, now before we move ahead and code the actual operators, I'll explain to you the basic logic behind and or on a whiteboard. Okay, so let's go to our whiteboard. So now let's see the truth table, as we call it, for and or, the logical and logical or. I'm sorry for my handwriting, but I'm not used to this yet. Anyways, I won't bore you with the normal mathematical approach. Let's take an actual real life example. Let's say that your teacher has to find out whether you pass or fail a semester. Okay, and the condition is that if you pass in maths and you pass in science, then and only then will you get an overall pass. So what do you understand by this statement? I won't tell you anything about and, because you already know English language, right? So it has to come to you naturally. Okay, what did I say? That if I get a pass in maths and I get a pass in science, then and only then will I overall get a pass. So let's take 4 different scenarios as are possible with 2 subjects. Now, in first case, in maths, I get a pass. Let's say that's true. I pass. We represent that by T, true. And in science also, I get a pass. So overall, what happens? Yes, I get a pass because in both subject I pass. So overall, I get a pass grade. Now, in the second situation, I pass in maths again, but I fail the science. In this case, what happens? I get an overall fail grade. Why? Because I had to pass both the subjects to get a pass grade. In the third case, I fail the math subject. F is for fail as well as false. Okay. So, but I pass the science one. Again, in this case, overall, I still get a fail grade. Why? Because I still failed one subject. Now, in the last case, I failed both the subjects. So, of course, I failed, right? Now, this right here is the condition for and. And you don't have to go into mathematics to understand it. You don't have to take 0, 1 and get 0 as a result. You don't have to take 1 and 1 to get 1 as a result. You don't need to confuse yourself with this kind of syntax, okay? Just take real life example. This and should come to you intuitively as you know the English language, okay? You should understand the situation logically. Just ask yourself, this question: what does and mean? When do I use and when do I use or? Actually, let's actually see the a situation for and for or as well. Okay, so here we'll write a table for logical or. Okay, now again, let's say my teacher wants to another teacher wants to calculate whether I passed or failed a grade in the semester. So, but now the conditions are different. The teacher says if you pass one subject, if you pass maths or you pass science, you get an overall pass. Otherwise, you fail. This is the condition. And it's basic English, right? You don't have to have maths for this. So I fail when I fail both the subjects. But otherwise, even if I pass just one subject, I still get an overall pass. Okay. So we'll draw the 4 situations. We have the math subject and the science subject. And now, in the first case, let's say I pass in maths and I pass in science. So overall, what grade do I get? See, I only had to pass one subject. If I pass 2, that's fine too. That's 2 grade, right? That's good, right? I get an overall pass, of course. Now, in the second case, I fail math, but I pass science. So overall, I still get a pass grade. I only need to pass one grade. Remember, it's or condition. This or this, either way it works. That's what it means. So next time I pass maths and fail science. Again, in this case, I get a passing grade as well. Now, in the last case, I fail both math and science. So in this case, of course, I get a fail. So this right here is the truth table for logical or operator. Okay. And I feel like this should be enough to get overview of both the logical and or operation. If not, I'll create a specific video only for this with more examples. All right. Now that we've seen the logic, we'll just dive right in and try to implement this in JavaScript. Okay. So let's actually take the same example and say, let's say the first condition is true, like I passed the math subject, and again I passed the science subject, right? Actually, we don't write and. In JavaScript, we write double and %, right? So this is the condition. So I passed the maths as well as the science subject. So overall, what should I get? I should get true, right? I overall passed. Now, let's say I failed the science subject. I'm just writing true or false instead of writing science subject and declaring a value for it. But in this case, I should get false, right? Because I failed in one subject and I had to pass in both to get a pass. Just a moment. So we get a false, right? Because I failed one of the subjects. I had to pass in both to get a true, to get a pass. Okay, similarly for or, if I implement or similarly, let's say I passed in maths, but I failed science. In this case, what happens? I had to pass only one of the subjects, right? And I passed in maths, so overall I should get a true. So let's see what happens. And indeed, I do get a true. So this is how logical or and logical and operates. And if you want to know like how we use it in real uh, programming, in real questions, you can say that, let's say I want to had, like I had a grade, let's declare marks, and let's say I got 80 marks. Okay, now I'll write that if marks is greater than 50 and marks is, I'm sorry, this is because of Python. If marks is less than 70, so these are the two conditions that I gave. See, is marks greater than 80? This should be true, right? So this should be true, right? And marks less than 70, is that true? It's 80, right? So it's totally false. As we can see, it's false. So true, this condition true, and this condition false. Overall, what should happen? Overall, we should get a false, right? Because what this condition reads in English, if we say, I want marks that are in between 50 and 70, or you can say it like this, I want marks that are greater than 50 and less than 70. Okay, I only want that. So it's 80, it's not satisfying that condition, so we should get a false. And let's see what we get, and indeed we do get a false. So that is how we can use it in real use cases. Okay, so that's it. I think we've covered enough operations, right? I'll share this code with you guys in the description.